Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys, just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquill, and I am a sub boy. Whatever that means for you is how you should take it. That's right.
And I'm John Gilardi, and I know when to cash out when the going's good. I know when to accept my powers, and be happy with what I got. But yeah, we watched.
There's one thing that you guys should know about John is that John is ready to be the king. John is ready.
Lord.
He knows. He's got it planned out. He's already a lord, but he's ready to be the king, and he's ready to be gifted superpowers because he knows exactly. He doesn't want any more than what he's gonna get, and he's like, I'll take exactly my superpowers. I will take exactly my kingship, and I'm gonna do great at it.
There's a lot of diminishing returns, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
and
I just know where that wall is.
John is not like some of us. Some of us ruled by emotions and the desire for more. John is like, I will take exactly what I need for right now to be able to then get more later, because right now is not forever. You know what is forever? Having a little bit of powers.
Yeah.
And I respect and applaud you for that, John.
As our friend Owen Wilson said, the current time is unsatisfying, but when you look back, it was great. So I'm just living in the moment.
Wow.
That's me. Thanks to Owen Wilson.
Day after day, give it to him, John.
Yeah. But yeah, so we watched Akira. Akira. I don't know how do you say it.
Akira.
Yeah, pretty a super classic seminal piece in, I would say, probably Japanese filmmaking, but obviously anime in the West, a lot of stuff. It's a big deal culturally as a film and animation. And I don't know, do you have any top level super intro things to that nature? To add?
I guess I was sort of surprised. Like, I don't know. I was sort of surprised at how. I don't know, how drawn it all looked, and how. I don't know. I really liked it. Like, it looked like things that I was familiar with, but just with more color, if that makes sense. Like, it looked like Fox and the Hound as far as like the drawing or animation style.
Yeah. I mean,
there's
like the classic where with anime, they try to tell the story with as little animation as possible or whatever, with like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But with this, they don't pass on any frames. So, like, they don't go for easy shots. Like, they put in extra things, and there's so much extra care. I don't know, like a scene with a diner and the motorcycles crash through it. We don't need to see that, to get anything. But they go with it. They set the set. They draw it to fine detail and animate it pretty in depth in a lot of frames, and then you have the bit there, and
yeah,
it's great. And it's a good gateway anime, because I don't know, for myself, there's a lot of people who picture Dragon Ball Z, I think, is the most infamous of these, where it's almost like a slideshow at times with grunts.
Yeah.
And
well,
so
I think
that's given a lot of people the wrong idea of what anime is. And so like something like this, I think, is a good starting point, for the reason that it's a really good starting point, just generally speaking. And then that it is super dynamic and cool and fun to look at.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the things that maybe, as someone who is a relative noob, I again, that was like, I watched Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, or like when it came on after school at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., I like would watch it when it came on. And that was sort of my exposure to anime. Mm-hmm. And like in watching it now, it's very much like it is sort of catered and cartoonish, you know? Whereas like this is like just full, it's just like full frame, like glory and art and weird and cool. Like this is like, so like one of the other sort of like big animes that I watched and I loved too. So it's like, doesn't necessarily surprise me that I liked it because I really like the sort of like the visual storytelling elements of like the anime is like the Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
I really loved that. Like I remember watching that. I don't know why my mom got it when Netflix still had DVDs. I don't know why my mom got it. Is an interesting choice. But I was like sick one day and I made hot dogs and I watched this. And then like I made hot dogs at the beginning of the movie and then I made hot dogs in the middle because I like, you know, I was
hot dogs are good, but they can
movie.
definitely be considered a snack. So I get it.
Well, I mean, you know, it is what it is. The choice to eat more hot dogs, is it a good choice? I don't know, but it is indicative of how much I was enjoying watching Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
I was
you
like-
probably like any Studio Ghibli films. I think Disney distributes them. I don't know what their involvement is. Maybe they help finance a bit, but all those I believe it's Studio Ghibli. All those movies are pretty much, you'll like them. So if you like that,
I think
there's a whole
I
suite
watched
of
Spirited
anime.
Away. I liked Spirited Away too.
Yeah. So,
Obviously, I think that one was like everyone was like, "Wow, this is amazing." That's like what like introduced not
Yeah.
everybody, but like was like, "Hey, this can be like more."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so much more, like emotion and feeling in these than Dragon Ball. Whereas like Dragon Ball is sort of like the slow burn, like you give a shit because you've been with it for so long and you're invested that way.
Yeah.
But there's nothing interesting about the animation. Like when it comes down to it, it's like there's a reason they keep doing different transformations and power ups or whatever. Is because it's like that's when they try. It feels
Yeah.
like.
It's like they also like for TV, they save budgets for episodes for big fights. So all the other episodes or moments kind of go by the wayside. But when you have something like a feature, you know, it's different. And I don't know if there's Dragon Ball features, but I'm sure they're a little bit more involved in dynamic. But it's at the
They
but
are.
like,
The Dragon
I think,
Ball features that I've seen are more like they're like special episodes or like extended episodes of TV shows.
Oh dang!
But but again, it's been a minute and I never really got in. Like, I got into it sort of, you know, and like there was a website that I found that was like, hey, here's all the Dragon Ball Z GT episodes that you could ever want. And I was like, yeah, dude. And this was like early in high school. And that was like, you know, my like, so like in like elementary school, like I watched it on Toonami. And then like when the internet came around, I was like, hell yeah. I found this website and it just got, for some reason, is this website that had Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT and then all of the Scrubs episodes. And I was like, damn, these are my jams.
It's a website
you know?
made for you.
Yeah.
It's made by Patrick's for Patrick's.
You know, maybe like I am going to make that website in like 20 years and like I'll send it back fucking
With hot
30
dogs.
or 40 years into the past to be like, hey, this is going to inform your life.
Yep.
I did make it. It was only for me and my brother.
Yeah, with I don't know, like this movie's beginning, I think is the coolest part because it goes full in with the neon and cyberpunk vibes, and like the light trails is so cool. It's something I just know. I've seen it, but I was like this watch through within the background. I was like soaking it in. And my girlfriend was telling me how they invented new colors for animation with inks and dyes. So there's over 300 colors used, and I don't know, it's pretty crazy. And you watch any behind the scenes of the animation just to see like a whole team of people drawing and taking pictures of the set, like pictures of like the cell shading, I guess, or the cells and the different backgrounds. It's cool to see how animation comes together. But it's just like the painstaking love and attention in this is so cool. And I wish I knew more background, the setting around when it came out and its significance. But it's an important film, and it's obvious. Just so you can see the influence it's had on things, you know, like Blade Runner or Fifth Element or Cyberpunk, the video game, anything like that. Like, and I'm sure it took influences from these things that existed, like the first Blade Runner, and then the Cyberpunk board game.
But I wonder, like
it
when
channels
the
the energy
manga
so well.
came out, and I apologize if I mispronounced that.
When what?
Manga? Is it manga or manga?
I think I've heard either one.
Okay.
But we can look that up. We got the internet.
I'm looking it up right now. It came out. It first came out December 20th, 1982.
That's kind of when Blade Runner came out.
When
which
did Blade
is the
Runner come
only
out?
thing I can think that rivals it. And then there's Ghost in the Shell. Maybe that was a manga before.
Yeah, I think that Ghost in the Shell, the Blade Runner came out in 1982. So it seems like it's kind of like one of those things where I forget what it's called whenever things happen like coincide. Like there's
Adjacently,
but there's like a term that's like it's like concurrent ideation or some term like that. Where it's like,
nerdcore,
across
basically.
the world. Huh?
Nerdcore, to an extent.
Yeah, but also, well, I mean, with nerdcore, it's kind of, what are you talking about with nerdcore?
Just like people are doing it, and they didn't like there wasn't really inspiration or a cause and effect. It's like just people came to their own conclusion of doing this type of thing.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were saying like that everybody, had, like now everybody's coming out with a security breach song, and it's like, well, that's because that's what the market dictates or whatever.
No, not
but
that.
like this in 1981 or 1980, Ridley Scott was like, hey, what about some androids in a future in like a cyberpunk world? And then whoever wrote Akira,
because a lot of it was probably like the idea of like, oh my god, year 2000, future, it's around the corner, because this is based in 2019, which is really cool.
Katsuhiro Otomo.
Is that the writer?
That's the writer of Akira.
Nice.
Katsuhiro Otomo.
Well,
I'm fucking butchering that.
There's a lot of real world tragedies with COVID-19, so I'm going to pretense this. So this is like this is one of the material tragedies of COVID-19 was the Tokyo Olympics was in 2020, and this has the backdrop where the Olympics are in Tokyo in 2020. And
but it's also happening in 2019, which I think that Blade Runner also happens in 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
But
the first Blade Runner also happens, because obviously the second Blade Runner happens in 2049.
Yeah. Well, we'll go back to the Olympics thing. Like, it just would have been so cool to see that be a thing, I guess. This huge movie that for some people was a very popular form of Japanese culture and media, and it has the Olympics and it's in real life, and the tie-ins. The logo was fire because all the O's in Tokyo and the Olympic rings.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess they could have done anything they did promotional wise or tie-ins with this movie, but I didn't see anything, and maybe they didn't have anything planned. But I don't know. It'd been cool if they've leaned into it.
What for Akira?
Yeah, with the Tokyo Olympics. I don't even know. Did they do an opening ceremony?
I don't know. I've been so out of it because of like COVID stuff. Like even now, we're talking about the Olympics, but with all this jazz with the whole like the Beijing Winter Olympics that's happening, and it's like, is it why? Okay, all right, interesting. With all their sort of like human rights violations and whatnot. Sorry, I guess we're not going to get Chinese endorsements, John.
I know.
But I mean, it's just like it feels. And I was thinking this too, and I was thinking this too, is like how little like right now, and maybe it's just a right now thing, but like how little like the All-Star games feel like they mean in any of the sports. Like the Pro Bowl doesn't mean shit, and like the NBA All-Star like hasn't been interesting for a while. I don't think, like even with like with everyone sitting out doing like the fucking slam dunk competitions or whatever. It just is like those sort of things feel less important. And maybe it's because of COVID. Maybe it's also because they have like, I don't know. I could go on. I wrote like a little essay for myself about this because it was interesting to me.
Yeah.
But we can get back to Akira and how it
Yeah.
and how Tokyo sort of connects up.
Yeah.
Because I
don't know,
agree.
What's cool? It's interesting the nuclear kind of backdrop too, because there's like my understanding is like there's a lot of like I mean the fact that Japan's the only country that's ever been nuked essentially, and it's interesting to see how that ties into their storytelling and theming. I don't know. You have Godzilla, you have this, and a million other things where it's something that it just keeps coming up in their media, and it's super fascinating to see how many kinds of ways it gets interpreted.
And it's also
it,
like
gives you an impression of what that means to them, and then I don't know, like I don't know his name, but he did the cover art for Graduation, for Kanye.
Was that Virgil?
No, he's Japanese. Takashi Murakami, and I think his town he grew up in was supposed to be the third city nuked. So that pretty much is like everything in why he does his art is pretty much shaped that he could have been dead. His family line could have died out from being nuked or something like that. And so that's very direct, but it's obviously in everything you see. And
it's interesting though. Because it's also like, again, my experience with like Goku and like Dragon Ball Z, where it's like you have this person with ultimate power essentially, but they are the sort of like the epitome of good use. And it's like, it's never, it's for Goku, it's never like I don't know. It's such an interesting thing with power that they have, and like even in this movie, in Akira, I was very interested in the sort of like dichotomy of like the general being an asshole and like moving toward despotism. Like he's like, I'm not gonna hand this over to you guys. I'm not gonna hand this city over to you guys for you guys to ruin it. But then also, like, having sort of the wherewithal to be like, I don't know if we should use this technology. Like, we have to control it, but it's not good. And, like, we have to understand it. But I think that I would rather destroy it than use it. And it was just like, this is very interesting.
Yeah.
And then, I love an interesting villain like that. Where it's like, but he's also not the villain, but he is the villain.
But he, like how he comes across as that plain cut villain, but he's a little bit more complicated than that. He is, he's just, I don't know. At the end, you're kind of rooting for him because he's trying to save the city and stop this thing from getting out of hand. And like Kaneda and him are not working together, but they're working towards the same goal. So it's an interesting dynamic because they don't really interact, but they're trying to do the same thing.
They end up working together parallelly, where they're sort of like working through the same things to get to the same. And it's like it's just an interesting story because it's like who is the bad guy here?
Yeah, because then you have Tetsuo going crazy, being super villain shit, essentially. Cape and like.
I love it when he puts the cape and he's just like, yeah, this is right.
Yeah.
And it's just like. He's a kid because and this was one of my favorite parts was in like the second act climax, where they're bringing down Soul on him before he like when Tetsuo is sort of at the peak of his powers almost, maybe not the peak of his powers, but when he's like in the peak of control of his powers, and then him and fucking Canada. I'm sorry. I apologize. But like whenever they're like sort of fighting, it kind of has like Playground King of the Hill vibes. And like it's like also them like, bantering with each other is fucking cool as shit.
Well, it's like roughhousing, like you're pulling punches almost.
Yeah.
I think Kaneda is doing what he can because he's fighting a superhuman with the laser gun, but like Tetsuo, I feel like there's no reason why he couldn't have squished him from the inside out, you know? Like,
yeah. Well, because he wanted to show off for his friend and be like, look how
That's true.
fucking
Like, prove
powerful I
himself.
am now, dude.
yeah.
Like, I don't need you to save me anymore. I got this, bro. I'm going to squish you, but I'm going to let you know how cool I'm squishing you.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I don't know, man. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I really liked the movement. I liked the animation. And I liked the colors and the depth of things. Like, it's interesting where, you know, like, right now on my screen, I'm watching them. They just got out of the police thing, and they're walking past, and we've got this big wide. It feels like we've just got so many different like variations of sizes of shots that we've got too in this versus like sort of some of the other sort of like anime stuff that I've seen.
Yeah,
where
I
it's
think
like
that's a good point. It's very diverse in the way it looks. You have all sorts of different establishing shots. You have all big sweeping shots, close in stuff. Very framed up, cool action stuff. Like to me, when Kaneda and his bike plays chicken with that biker guy.
Yeah,
and he kind of stall stops or like slide stops, I guess. It just looks so cool. The colors are so cool. That bike
cool.
is so cool looking. His jacket with the pill on the colors are just so good, and it's like all a bunch of tones of reds, but it's accented just by the little pill or the cannon or the BMW stickers on the bike or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just so cool. I don't know. It makes
me like
I want to watch Ready Player One just to like, yeah, the bike's sick because I've seen that movie, but I want to watch it after the fact.
now that you like, because is this your first time seeing Akira?
Second time. Because
it's like after you sort of like, for me, it's like after you see like the reference of the thing, you kind of want to see how it's referenced then later in other media.
Yep, exactly. And I guess to contextualize me, like I was very jaded by the existence of Dragon Ball Z, and just like, that's so fucking dumb. And I saw clips of things, and even had seen a little bit of Attack on Titan, which is very stagnant at times, and of that like kind of annoying anime cliche. And so to me, that's what I just thought anime was. And so my girlfriend introduced this movie to me as kind of the first anime. And I watched it biased, but I did come out liking it. But I've come to just get rid of that anime bias and understand it more and know that there's way more out there. And so I watched it this time with that barrier just being gone, and I loved it. Like I liked it a lot last time, and then this time I was like, hell yeah, I'm fucking about it. This is cool. Like I just enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. See, I don't necessarily think that I had like an anime bias. Like it just like is something that never came up, and I didn't like sort of like seek out the way that I could have. You know, I was never like, because they do tell interesting stories, like, you know, again, Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta's like sort of like the fucking in the Majin Buu, and he's like takes the power and he's like, I'm fucking Majin Vegeta, hell yeah. All I want to do, like, he still maintains it. Like, it's like, that's cool to me. Like the way that they do those arcs, and it's like, for me, fundamentally, as like a storyteller, it's like those are cool, interesting ways to tell a story.
Yeah.
And it like kind of hits those beats, and like and then in the other sort of like animes that I've seen, like, you know, Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away, where it's like these are some of the things that I like best about stories. One of the reasons I like Parasite, where it's like, where did this step come from? Like, it makes sense, and we're going to justify it all the way through, but it's like, how did we then get to this decision that this was how we're going to present this? And it's like, oh, fuck, cool. Like, even at, like when we got to, at the end, when Tetsu is, like, again, full body horror, terrifying, awful stuff, it's like, huh, okay, interesting. What? All right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
We're just living in it.
Yeah. And it doesn't make apologies or try to like
but I owns it so much. Like, I was like, is there an explanation why this is happening? Why the machine's taking, like, why is this, like, its powers just, like, it's just getting out of control, I think, is as simple as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this movie, you just live in it's really good at living in. I'm sure there's a million lore explanations and stuff, but if you watch it and you miss the necessary details here and there, Like you don't get all of them, it still works. Like you're not really scratching your head ever. Mainly because it's good to look at, but it's also just got
frame are so good.
Yeah, but you're getting what you need from other elements. You know, if you don't get the technical stuff, because I don't know, like George Lucas, like dialogue is shitty, but he wrote those movies to like it's all visuals. Like you can watch those movies without any sound. Obviously, you miss John Williams' music, that sucks, but you know what's happening.
Or I mean, clearly. You could really like it could be like a silent film for like Star Wars, or even for this really. Like where it's like even now as I'm like watching it with the sound off, like I don't necessarily need the audio. Like the music is cool because we can.
There's a time too. I'm sure there's people who watched this before it was localized who didn't speak Japanese and they fucking loved it still. You know.
Well, that's one of my favorite. So this is one of my favorite things that back in the day. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast yet, but I've talked about it in real life. But like, so back in the day of like downloading movies and like, you know, we're pirating movies and stuff, great stuff. But I downloaded a version of Pan's Labyrinth, the Guillermo del Toro movie, and I
you've talked about this.
I think I've talked about this. Yeah, but that was like I downloaded it and it was in Spanish. There was no subtitles, and I still fucking loved it. And I would watch it in the original language with no subtitles, and I still got it and loved it. Like there's some stuff that I missed that I like picked up on the rewatch, but for the most part, it was like, this is cool. I love this.
Yeah, you get what you need.
Get what you need from it, especially if you do good visual storytelling.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we're watching moving pictures. Also, let's talk about how fucked over. What's her name? Kaori.
Oh, poor.
Gets the shortest stick out of any character I've seen in a movie in a long time. She gets like beat up, sexually assaulted. Her boyfriend is like toxic and like he's worried about his pride. Villain. Yeah, and then he's a supervillain, and she tries to like save him or comfort him. She gets squashed. To a bloody, just to viscera.
Pulp.
Yeah,
and like his body horror, like body butthole.
Yeah, it's just like
it's fucking. It's like Jesus.
But then Kanada's like self-actualization of like being a badass, and like gets the girl and saves the day. Like he's having a good. Like obviously maybe he lost his friends and things are kind of falling apart. But like for him, himself, the person, he's doing pretty good by the end of it. Yeah, which is kind of funny because those are all around him. Minus is it May or Kea Maya?
Key, I think.
Kia, yeah.
Kei.
Everyone like is for the worse in this movie except for him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah. He comes out all right.
Yeah. I mean his bike's damaged, but whatever.
His bike's damaged.
I think that's funny though. Like it might be intentional too, you know, like that's the worst for him, you know, is that his bike got damaged. Where for other people, their priorities are elsewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man, it just is such good, like, it's got, like, all, like, the good things that you remember about, like, the Goonies, like, all the kids coming together and being, like, cool stuff. Not you, John. I know, like, in general. But, like, they're like, hey, it's got, like, Stranger Things vibes, but then, like, it, like, goes to the level that you're like, this is actually satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, yeah, Canada and the boys are coming to help out.
Well, they're actually like, they're going to do shit, you know, like there's a lot of like, aggro, like, all right, boys, let's go, roll out. And it's like, you get there like, we're kind of like children.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wait, we're not. And it's like, and then in this movie, they're like, hey, guess what? I'm going to blow your bike up. Wait, hold on. Here we come. We're going to fucking beat the shit out of you guys.
And they're doing it. They're like, living it.
They're living it, bro. They're going all out, and it's good. I like it.
I really like the violence in this. I guess is very animated well. Like people getting crushed and like impacts and gunshot wounds and.
Well, it's also it's funny because it's so like kind of like offset or not offset where it's so casual where it's like there's in the beginning and like the sort of like the first bike scene where where like the bike crashes through the restaurant window and crushes that dude's head.
Yeah.
Or whenever the dude falls off his bike and the big clown guy rolls over his arm, and it's like, damn, this is and then they don't give it any power or importance at all, and so it's just kind of like, shit, okay, yeah, here we are, this is the world.
It just looks
which is
cool.
pretty cool.
I mean, there's a part where it kind of gets hit by the colonel and blood flies out. I'm pretty sure he loses a tooth, but it doesn't matter. But it looks cool.
Yeah. And then the movement of the characters is so good. Like, again, watching Kaori, like, walk, and she's, like, toddling over because she just got punched in the face. And it's just, like, I don't know. And then, like, just the movement of the characters is so good.
Oh, yeah.
You can see...
You're a little bit behind me, but when they animate the ribbon flowing away in the wind, it looks so good. It's like, just comprehend that. Like, it could have been rotoscoped to some degree, but damn. The skill and the artistry there is super impressive. But I guess talking about things I liked, I really liked the tunnel scene with the water and the hovercraft. Like, the motion, it just, like, for animation, you felt that. You felt you were there. Like the cause and effect of things in space. Like the lights and the just the blindiness of that and the unknown, and then the thing moving through space and the repercussion of it moving with the wind and with the waves. I don't know, like I love that. That was just, it's so cool. It's so well paced. It's like you live in every moment, and it's almost in real time, I would imagine. That sticks out to me as one of my favorite scenes.
Well, and then in that scene
animation-wise.
too. Well, and then also, like, there's scenes like that in live action movies. And they don't, like, it's interesting where, kind of going back to, like, we talked about with Arcane, or like maybe I don't know if we talked about this with Arcane, where it's like the fight with Echo and Jinx on the bridge, how you're able to
mentioned
sort of
it
like
briefly, yeah.
But it's like, that's so cool how they're able to artify that and make it more than just them fighting on the bridge, and like where you're able to sort of like in anime or in animated things, like in this, but the tunnel scene that you're talking about, where it's like it's all very real, but then it's also like sort of like hyper real, so that we get like the focus and we can convey how people feel about what is happening maybe a little bit easier, or like a little bit more directly, while also maintaining the sort of like tension from it. Which it's very cool. I agree.
Good
but
sound
it's like
design
one of the
too.
things.
I don't think there's much music, so it's like the way, like the mystery of this machine and the whooshing and the gunshots and the echoes of their voices.
Well, they don't pull any punches with anybody too, except for maybe with Canada.
Yeah.
Where it's like everybody else is like pretty much expendable. Like they're like, if there's no bones about it. When that dude he gets pulled apart by bullets, and it's like, oh, that dude got pulled apart by bullets. This is
even the detail, like
around.
his clothes get ripped apart too. Like I don't know,
or
like,
his hand still being stuck to the gun.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And even just the costumes too. I know I mentioned Canada stuff, but like there's the whole cyberpunk vibe. I love the beginning with the bar and the neon lights and all these different things, seeing the characters. It's just stylistically so cool. It's like, I don't know, the 80s had some cool ideas of what was cool, and it's aging really well for some reason. And I don't think it's a nostalgia thing, because I didn't live through this. It's just, the stuff's pretty fucking cool.
I think it's the colors and the sort of like the movement and ease of the clothes.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about from an animated thing, but I think that's one of the reasons why it's like sort of like coming back, where it's like the I don't know, colors are more interesting to look at than muted hues, I think, for the most part. You know, it's like the best like the best things. It's either, you know, getting cool colors, shaped fun, or it's like a Bernini statue that's like masterfully done.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what cool art is. That's what we want to live day to day. And I think that's one of the things that this sort of like particular sort of style has over some other things. And there's also like a really fun like casual formal about it, where it's like you can kind of go either way with it, for the most part, rather than like some of like the 60s fashion is like, it is what it is. It's not getting any, you can't dress it up or dress it down.
Yeah. Oh, we're trying to bust out of the formal stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. You still
two boys talking about fashion who know only so much about fashion.
That's what we do.
But that's what we do. But I mean, I just think that there's like a interesting. So you go like.
Well, it's like when things start to become relatable, and it's the early version of that, and they hit on a lot of things. Even the new Five Nights at Freddy's game we just made a video for. That's very 80s based, late 80s. And it's so nostalgic and like the glam rock kind of stuff. Just like,
yeah,
you know, there was a time where I looked at that, I was like, that's so dumb, so bad taste. What were they thinking? But now I look at them like, that's fucking cool. Like, I love that.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like, it's sick. I don't know.
I wonder if that's because we're old, John.
I don't know. Like,
but
I don't know.
I think
I'd be curious
that's also
to ask
just the
like
vibe.
I'd be curious to ask like a 15-year any teenager, like, what do you think of this stuff? You know. And I'm sure they would probably be more up on it than we were when we were that age.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, there's just so much more about it. Well, all right, so real quick. In, like, the 50s, well, like, there's a bigger difference between the spaces of what you wear. It's like you wear this to work, and then you wear this when you're at home. And it's like there's a further difference between those two places.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's like in the 60s, it's kind of like two extremes where it's like you've almost essentially created two different sort of structures of society based off of what they wear and how they wear it and when they wear it. And there's less of like a middle ground in between. And then like skipping the 70s because it's disco, everybody was on fucking drugs. And then in the 80s, there's sort of like a feeling of a reblending of stuff.
Yeah. And then you tie in the futurism, optimism, stuff like that, and then you get the 80s.
Because everyone was feeling it in the 80s. They're like, hell yeah, we got money, we got cocaine, the stock market is only going to go up.
It's one of those things I think.
Yeah, dude.
And I mentioned it with the Midnight in Paris, but I think it's one of those things in hindsight, the 80s and 90s will be viewed as like really good times to live. Terms of
except for the AIDS epidemic.
Yes, AIDS, and still had the what's it called? Fear of nuclear holocaust, but I don't know.
But like that was like I feel like in the 80s that had become like gamified a little bit more. Where they were like the fear of the 50s and 60s post Vietnam in the 80s is the like post in the 80s people are like, you know, we're out of Vietnam. This fucking East Germany thing isn't working, and you know what? It's gonna be fine. Like, we're gonna be fine. The KGB becomes more of a boogeyman to those who are outside of the thing, like outside of the immediate sphere of influence, and like, it's just like, come on, guys, this is fuck it. Let's go, bro.
Let's make Rocky movies.
Let's make Rocky movies, dude. Let's go.
But yeah, it's like things can be normalized so fast, and like we're talking like what 40 years at that point. So
yeah,
it's like, come on, man, you're gonna do it. If you're gonna do it, do it. And it's just like both calling each other on their bluffs. But
yeah, well, we've got Ukraine. We've got World War III. I don't know when this one's gonna come out, but. Calling it now, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, there's been scares with North Korea for so long. It's like,
well,
obviously that's different, but I'm just saying like that's
just something I was just wondering. I was just like,
that's just like something I get served.
Do you know something that I don't know?
No, nothing too recent. I mean, I know that they're like, never mind about those sanctions and stuff. We're gonna go back to doing stuff. It's just like, god damn it, what was the point of that? It's just
what
like
are we talking about, guys?
They're just temperamental babies. These fucking world leaders.
Hey, Lord John, get in there and show him the business.
I could rule the world. I could do it.
I know you could, dude. We talked about it. We opened it up. You got the perfect like level of like, hey, fiscal responsibility, cultural progressiveness. Let's go.
That's me.
That's John. And he's like, hey, give me my wheat. Guys, I need my wheat. I'm a lord. I need my wheat.
Well, I would end world hunger. I would fix everything.
You guys heard it here first. Vote John Gilardi for President of the World 2024.
I will fix world hunger. I will fix everything.
Is he going to explain how he's going to do it? Not right now.
Nope.
You got to vote for him to find out. Hey, sign up for three monthly payments to find out how John's going to end world hunger.
If everyone in the world donated a penny, how much
We'd
money
have 7
would that
billion pennies.
No.
7
Well, yeah, so 7 billion.
7 billion pennies.
That's so
7
many
billion
zeros.
cents is how many cents? $7 million?
7 billion x 0.01. It's just take away a couple decimal points. Duh.
Is it 7 million?
70 million?
Okay. Because if it's 7 billion people, and then I think isn't the rule that you have, if you have 2 zeros, you take away 2 zeros for that sort of math.
Yeah, so that's.
What are we doing here, bud? What did we?
I want if everyone in the world donated a penny, we could fix a lot of issues.
For $70 million, we could finance a feature film.
Yeah, now I think about it, that's not that much money.
Yeah, $70 million
in the big scale.
In the 80s, $70 million ain't bad.
Yeah,
but now
let's talk about inflation.
Let's talk about inflation. Something I know a lot about.
Yeah. So I guess, do you have any negatives? Do you like on this film?
I don't know, dude. This kind of hits. Like, it's like not too long. Like, it's like like the thing is, I would say, let me tell you the thing is like, this is a 2-hour movie. I'm a big proponent of like, the good old 90-minute movie, but this movie packs so much and we get so many answers and we just get so much from this movie that I don't see it being any shorter.
Yeah.
Like, and so that would be like my drawback is that, but it moves. Like, it moves. We go through things. It doesn't feel like anything really drags.
It doesn't come back to the same sets either, in a sense, Like
I guess.
Like it's always new locations, essentially, which is fun. And
Yeah.
probably helps with the fact that it moves because you're always seeing something new,
Yeah. I guess a drawback would be sort of feels like Key or Kai, the lady is sort of like, I just feel like there could be more from her. Like, we get like a lot of like glimpses. Not necessarily, like, there's sort of like this feeling that she is more in the story, and then we get more of Kanada's story.
Yeah.
Like, and like
I feel like
it's just like,
they should be equal is what they want us.
Yeah.
Like it's what it feels like it should be, or like what they want to give us. But in actuality, she's kind of, I wouldn't say side piece, but like, I don't know, like she's
she's clearly more
she volunteers
important
to help the kids, but she also like, it's not clear how much agency she has, and she certainly has no agency when they have control of her either. So it's like, that's a big part of her part in the film, and that's not her. And then, she's on the sideline while Canada's doing the final fight. She's supposed to be like a person in this ring of protesters, terrorists, revolutionaries, whatever you want to call them. I only say all those things I don't know quite what they are.
Well, because it's not defined, it's really cool. Because it's like, we've got this like little Cartman dude who's like, that's who he reminded me of.
Maybe like a little Trump Cartman.
Yeah, I guess so. Where he's like the good bad guy or whatever, and then he is the bad guy. There's some stuff, and it could also just be like the language barrier.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. I thought you meant the kid. The kid in the hover chair. That reminds me of a little Trump.
Oh, no, that guy does sort of remind me of a little Trump. But I'm talking about the little good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
Where he's got, like, the rat tooth or whatever. Like, that's how they would normally animate, like, a rat person.
Yep.
He just makes me think of, like, Cartman. I don't know why. I mean, I probably could pinpoint why. It's because of his, like, frame and, like, how he walks and, like, how he carries himself.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I am satisfied with how little things are explained. But I do think that she is probably a bigger part in the larger story, and it's sort of hinted at that.
Yeah.
And I just think that if there's only going to be one movie, and I think there only needs to be one movie because for us to tell our story. You know, yep. I think that she could be more. And maybe it's like it's part of it is like the time, and like maybe they're like in like the marketing, they're marketing to young boys who are the ones who are watching animes. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know in 1988 who like what sort of like things like that, because I know that's almost 30 years ago, 32 years ago, or 34 years ago. I don't fucking know. And like we've come a long way as far as like giving adequate time and stories to both genders, but you know, that's another conversation. So I wonder how much of that sort of plays into it as well. But that's what I would say is looking back at this movie. I'd
be curious who the audience was, like if it was just everyone. Obviously, like I don't know where like the Japanese ratings board put this kind of stuff, like who they didn't let watch this stuff and did.
They're like, everybody, let everybody watch this. Body horror at the end, blood all over the place.
Well, there's a lot of adult stuff. Like there's the sexual assault scene. There's always like people gratuitously making out, feeling up. There's like a sexual assault, like opening shot with like the guy at the bar, pretty much.
Yeah.
On top of the girl. So like, there's a lot of stuff there. But, like, so I guess I'm just curious. Like, is this like were teenagers watching this? Like, was it meant for just adults, all ages? Not all ages. I guess maybe it was. I don't know. I just don't know what it. I don't know. Because like that's to your point is like this is for men or boys to watch. Was that argument you posed? But it's like, or was it just for everyone, or everyone old enough to consume this the level of maturity content here? I just don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to. It's like
I don't know.
Because America is a prude with a lot of things in a sense, in terms of like any form of sexual content, toxic, good, anywhere in between. It's like, it's such a hard thing that like it gives you such a hard rating.
No.
But violence,
don't do that.
You could have like gratuitous execution scenes, and it's like it could maybe sneak into a PG movie. You know, definitely be fine in a PG-13 movie. But if you have like any form of nudity or stuff like that,
or even like side boob nudity, or like butt nudity, unless it's for comedy. I mean, even for comedy, that puts it at PG-13.
Yeah, so it's like I just don't know what that is like outside of our country. I know like in Europe they're a lot more lenient on.
They're like, hell yeah, a funny penis. That's a G movie.
I mean, it's all in just public TV was just like full nudity, softcore porn, like all over the place. In France and Norway, I could speak to. So, yeah. I mean, that's
those parts, bro. Like, let's just like it just is what it is. I think that's one of my big beefs with America is that it's like we make stuff so important that doesn't necessarily need to be important, and then that's how we teach people that it's important. And like, it's like, come on,
it's all about control, man.
It's all about control, bro.
Well, it's funny. Like, there's people who say it's all about control as if like it's the corporations or whatever, but it's like also I think self-perpetuated too.
Yeah. So
it's like I don't know. It's interesting. It's a little bit of a epiphany I had just now.
Just now.
Yeah.
Good.
I guess in terms of like not likes, I really don't have any. I'm with you. Like this is an excellent film through and through. The only thing maybe is the biker gang of friends. They kind of like disappear in a way, or if you didn't pay attention, you lose track of them. Yeah, like you lose track of how they die, and then you also don't get enough time to live with them to remember. Like, wait, I just don't. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I can recall a couple of them, but I think there was like 4 or 5.
There's the one with the arm, with like his arm wrapped up.
Well, exactly.
You know?
It's like
he's got.
There's a guy at the beginning who's chirping with at the bar, and you think he's going to be a main character because he gets some of the first lines.
And then he's not. Yeah.
There's a couple short guys.
Yeah. And then there's Tetsu.
Yeah.
And then Kaneda. I really like, just to really sort of like drive it home that I like this, but I love the fucking visions. The fucking horrifying
I love the music. It's like terror Rugrats music.
Yeah.
And like there's times where the music brings me back to Rugrats, which also then brings me back to like old early 90s, late 80s animation. And like the textures and the colors.
Yeah.
It just brought me back to that. Looks so good.
It's a cool vibe. It's really it's like really fucked up. Like whenever he's after Kaori's sexual assault and stuff, or like, and then like he's like freaking out. Like I love that vision, and then like seeing the reaction of his friends to the vision, where he's like,
they don't see, they just see
bro,
him.
what are you doing? And his like guts fall out, and he's trying to get his guts back in, and the world crumbles underneath him, and it's just like cool. I mean, not cool, that's awful stuff, but it's like, oh shit, damn guys.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could contextualize like why he's like, what the fuck, I'm getting out of here, I don't give a shit about anything, but
yeah,
it still doesn't, to them, they see it for what it was, and it's like, damn, dude, that's cold, that's bad, yikes.
Whoa, bro, you wild.
But that's like not the first time I've seen that in a movie. Like that's in City of God, where essentially the guy gives up on his partner because she gets assaulted. It's like such a weird, shitty, toxic thing.
Yeah,
it's like it's like the fragility of a man's masculinity that it's somehow their problem or affront to them that happens to their significant other. It's just like it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
So I've seen it before in a movie, I guess is what I'm saying, which probably means it's a thing, and I'm not surprised it's a thing. Like,
I'm sure it's a thing. Oh, I was mainly talking about like the visions and stuff, but yeah, that definitely like him like saying like get out of here. I think that was, that's men's. Am I right? Freaking idiots.
What are you saying?
Men's. Us.
Oh, men. Yeah.
Dudes. Boys.
Yeah.
Chillins.
But it's like, is it honesty in exposing that, or is that like a thing of its time where that was like a normalized thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't know how much of it is times change, or / how much is it they don't change.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to.
It's hard to pin down. Where it's like, especially that sort of stuff, where it is like a specific event in a piece of media that like extrapolates out forward.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, what'd you give this sweet movie? What'd you give this sweet little jazz?
I did give it 4 stars in my first viewing years ago, and I bumped it up to 4.5. So
yeah.
I gave it 4.5. Brand bumper stickers on my hot rod motorcycle.
Ooh, I'm gonna give it 4 batteries, 4 las gun batteries. Nice. out of 5.
Nice.
Just because like I want to see what Taika Waititi does with it, if they ever let him make it.
Wait, he wants to make this?
Yeah, he wants to do a live action version.
That would be interesting.
I would be very interested to see how that happens. Especially now having seen it, I'm like, how?
I trust
I'm not
him,
against it.
but it's also like, maybe don't.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Because it very much is like, what do we have to add to it?
It's
with a
like, make
live
your own
action?
cyberpunk Neo Tokyo story. Like, that's a cool setting, cool idea. Like, let's live like.
But I
go
guess,
like
I
you
guess on
don't
the
have
other
to
end of
try
it was
very
like,
hard
well-
to compel me with the setting alone. You know,
yeah.
because I think that's
I guess-
maybe a lot of what appeals a director is not telling the story, but it's exploring that world in real life. You know.
I don't know. Telling that story is pretty captivating.
I mean, it's not that it's not. I guess it's not a. That's not a captivating or good story, but I guess like. I feel like they get the most fulfillment of the reimagining, and a big part of that is the visualness, and that's the huge ego and narcissism of playing with that, you know. And then, but I think a lot of that you get from that experience is something you'd get from just creating a story in a similar setting. I feel.
Yeah.
Or creating something similar.
I mean,
but it's your own thing.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. I don't know. I don't know about that because it's like, you know, if I got the chance to remake the first 3 episodes of Star Wars, I would, because I think that story has like a lot of like cool potential, and it's like maybe Taika Waititi's sort of take on the script does have more for Kai.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe we get to explore that, and we get to explore the relationship between Kaneda and Tetsu a little bit more.
Yeah. That's definitely
Outside
true.
of,
I guess
that's like,
I'm coming around as I'm focusing on the look of it. Is I guess my fixation is
yeah. I think that the part of it is like, yeah, this is definitely a look, but I think the reason that you tell the same story or you do the same thing is like, all right, these are cool parts of the story. These are like the cool. These are the things that you look for in a story that you would like sort of try and write, where it's like, all right, we got these. All the things that make it great, you know, outside of any of the sort of the style of it, is like we've got the relationship between the general not necessarily being a total bad guy, and anytime you have like a villain that's like not a full villain, it's very interesting to me. So I mean I would be drawn to this from a storytelling perspective, like the same way with like I just said with Star Wars, where it's like a brother betraying a brother, and then like both of them not necessarily being wrong, but then like the way they go about it is.
So I guess where's the
fundamentally
line
different.
on why does it need to be made with a sequel? Like, why does it need to exist with a sequel, like The Matrix, to why does it need to be?
Yeah.
Because, like, people would say the same thing about Lion King or any of the Disney remakes, you know? But, like, why is something like this different, or Star Wars for you?
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars is it's a personal thing. I mean, I'm never going to get the chance to remake Star Wars, and I also probably wouldn't do it. You know, it's like I would, because for me, I would like to take those same elements of the story and then put it in the like a fantasy west or something, like some sort of like magic west versus like trying to do Star Wars and create that whole world again.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
But like
Romeo and
For
Juliet
this-
in LA.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, almost exactly. Yeah. As far as like a 1-for-1. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, because it definitely is like make your own.
Because I am.
But if it's
I-
already there,
Well, the thing is, like, I am a apologist for remakes and sequels, but when we're having this conversation with this in particular, I'm like, I don't think it doesn't need to happen for some. Like, I guess it just depends. I don't know. It's obvious. I mean, obviously it depends. Everything's case by case, but it's interesting because I typically haven't had that feeling where I'm more like, yeah, more of the same content's sick. But to me, this just
Yeah.
feels like such a thing that's like, just let it be. It's so good. Let it be.
yeah.
And we've had so many things that are so good. invested in the movie.
Yeah. I just think it has so much potential. Like, especially having watched it and thinking about Taika Waititi doing it, I think it has a lot of potential, both with tone and then also with, like, visual storytelling. I don't know. I could kind of go both ways where it's just like, let it be, or give it to me.
Yeah.
But give it to me good, because if it's bad, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
You know?
I hear you.
I hear you.
Maybe
We both agree, but let's talk to
should-
Taika.
We should watch. I haven't seen the original Death Note stuff, but we should watch that. Apparently,
The which one? Like the Netflix one?
Yeah,
or?
the Netflix one. Because it's a series, right? Not a movie.
I have no idea, honestly. I know that it's a manga, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a TV series, so I don't. If
The
it's
most
only,
recent one.
If it's only one season, that could be fun to watch that and the movie.
There's a movie?
Death Note?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Netflix
Wait.
live action adaptation, but it's originally an anime. It's, I think, one season TV show.
I
maybe?
thought it. Oh, I didn't know that it was. Okay.
So that's. I mean, you have that. You have Cowboy Bebop. So it's like
Cowboy Bebop live
Two ex-
action.
two examples of
canceled
this that have just not worked. So I guess that's also my skepticism. I'm not invested in these. And
then there's also Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, and there is a live action
Was
Attack
awful.
on Titan.
Was there?
So, yeah, it's like I
Man.
don't know if it's good or not. You can't find it. I think it's only in Japan, but the
So it sounds like it's probably bad then.
the trailer or the live action clips are just really unnerving and kind of fun to look at, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm
sign
not
up.
against it, bud. We would wait. Get ready. Buckle in. It's gonna be anime spring over here at the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
It's the year of anime. Gotta watch
The year.
Gotta end up watching that sweet Avatar show too.
Yeah. Which one? What is that called again? Avatar.
Last
The
Airbender.
Worlds of. No. That's the M. Night Shyamalan movie. That's an original movie that's not based on anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
to get me.
I'm being an asshole.
to
I'm being
get
a
me.
little tricky boy. So what you been watching, my sweet friend?
I watched Interview with a Vampire last night, which we will talk about next week.
Will we?
Still keeping up with Book of Boba Fett. I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I don't love it, but I enjoy it. It's again, I'll keep saying it. I don't know what people's expectations were, but but that's something that didn't need to happen. But you asked for it, and it happened. And this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a hero's
Disney-fied.
journey.
We'll
He's
talk
not gonna,
about it.
He's
We'll
not gonna
talk
be a
about it.
Chad. So
We'll talk about it.
you need to reevaluate why you like stories.
Yeah.
I watched
What did
Hot
you
Fuzz.
think was gonna happen, my guy?
Really good, excellent movie. Hot Fuzz is
I love that movie. Is that the
It's
first time
good.
you've seen Hot Fuzz?
no, it was my second and a
Okay,
half time.
good.
Yeah, and,
Second and a half time.
Yeah, I watched it halfway through as a kid in 2007, and I didn't.
Oh, you didn't like it.
Just I was a dumbass. No, I just was too young.
Wow.
British humor wasn't for me at that time. But it's funny, like British humor is peak humor for me now. So
Yeah, I love that
I
sweet, dry stuff.
I love the dryness. I love the shit in the back that you can miss, but if you see it, you're like,
Yep.
that's really funny. That's so well
Yep.
thought out. Stuff like that. So that's what
That's
I'm
my
watching.
favorite thing. That's my favorite thing. I think that's like one of the reasons, like when I direct a stage show, like my favorite part is like the ensemble in the back.
The signature
You know?
Patrick directing.
Yeah,
garnish.
I would say so. I would say so. I hope that other people see it that way.
I'm sure they do.
They will eventually. They will eventually. Yeah, pay attention to what we've got going on in those live action JT music videos because there's lots of stuff going on in the background. I have been watching The Wheel of Time a little bit here and there. I also have been watching Book of Boba Fett. I feel like there's something else that I've been watching, but I forget. because it's interesting. That's like the problem. I've been trying to keep track of the Letterboxd app a little bit more, but it's interesting with like TV shows where it's like
some are there, some aren't. It's interesting.
Well, it's also like, well, when I finish watching an episode, do I log watching an episode, or I finish watching the whole series? But
for me, it's when I finish the series, if it is.
Yeah,
there.
that's what makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Started watching the Righteous Gemstones. So it's like I've been watching stuff, but it's like, it's like not movies.
That's fair. I mean, I don't mean to bully into Letterboxd, but if you do like it and it's a fun thing you do use, it is so satisfying once it all comes together and you have years.
I like the idea of it. I like the idea of it. And I've been trying to keep up with it this year a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fun. Oh, I just went to my first month entry and I watched Princess Mononoke January 10th, so I know when I watched that.
Oh, there you go.
It was like
look at us.
Was it? When was this? Yeah, I've been using this app for a while. Jeez, 2019.
Dang, dude. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I watched No Time to Die. That's something else I watched.
I need to watch that. Is it good?
Oh, it's pretty good. I liked it.
Because it alternates. We were due for a good Daniel Craig because he has good ones, bad ones, good ones, bad ones, good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll watch that.
It's funny because it's anyway, just watch it and we can talk about it like as human beings or on the podcast.
Sweet.
Well, as they say in Neo Tokyo, hey, I do that a lot.
They what? Did you say something?
I just said
Oh, it completely the mic chat thing completely gated you out. Yeah, instantly. So it's just silence. As they say in Tokyo.
I did a little.
Nice. All right. Well, later, people.
Bye, people. I love you.